Hey, it's Maximo, and welcome to Maximo's Travels. Join me as we begin our Japanese odyssey in Tokyo, one of the world's biggest cities. It was absolutely fantastic to be back in Tokyo and Japan, a place we'd first visited in 2017. We woke up pretty early on the first day, but we didn't suffer jet lag because at the time we flew there was only a 1 hour time difference between Melbourne and Tokyo. Our first challenge was navigating the subway. This can be quite fraught, but generally speaking, Google Maps is quite an effective way to navigate around, so long as you follow the instructions to the letter. This, however, didn't prevent us from getting lost a couple of times and taking either the wrong subway line or taking the right subway line but just in the wrong direction. So as our trip to Tokyo advanced, we were making less and less mistakes. And I guess one of the first things I did was use a vending machine with my new Pasmo app on my iPhone. Very handy. It was really great wandering through the Japanese train stations and checking out all the souvenir cakes and desserts and other uniquely Japanese treats that people often buy for loved ones and relatives at these train stations. We were staying in the Tokyo suburb of Ginza, and it took us around about half an hour or so to work out how to get to our first destination, being the Earthquake Museum. The Earthquake Museum was around about 35-40 minutes away and two subway lines away. So we worked out how to get there and then proceeded to jump on a couple of trains. Riding on a train in Tokyo is a noisy and unique experience.
The next station is Nippori, JK33. The doors on the right side will open. Please change it for the Chiyoda Sankuri line and the Nippori Fabric liner.
Our first stop was the Earthquake Science Museum, about 500 metres away from Nishihagara train station. We walked there in searing heat. It was around about 35 degrees and 80% humidity, so a very hot walk. But we found the museum and went inside into the relative coolness. The museum's mostly located on one level, and what really strikes you is just the sheer number of massive earthquakes that Japan has experienced over the last couple of centuries. Really well represented in this wall of earthquakes, featuring all the major earthquakes from the 17th century to present day, and just the sheer scale of devastation that each of them has brought to the island nation. We did the whole museum in around about 20 minutes. There was a number of photos to see, different displays of earthquake damage, displays of furniture and other earthquake safety features. I think it was primarily designed as an educational experience for school kids and perhaps engineering students, rather than like a massive museum with heaps and heaps of artifacts and so on. There was a guided tour of the rest of the facility, but we just missed it. I think they depart on the hour, and we didn't want to wait 55 minutes until the next tour, so we decided to proceed to our next scheduled destination. Along the way, we passed a very dry pond or waterfall feature. I'm not sure what was going on here, whether it was the drought or it was being renovated, but it was an interesting outlook. Our next stop was Nezu Shinto Shrine. This is a 3 stop and 30-minute trip away from where we were at the museum, theoretically. I say theoretically because even though we got to the right train station, we got on the train going in the exactly opposite direction that we wanted to go to. Of course, we didn't realise this at the time, so we just jumped on board the train and settled in for our 3 or 4 stop ride. Now, it did become apparent after a couple of stops that it did appear that we were going in the wrong direction, and this was confirmed by the fact that we started going over a river, and there were no rivers on Google Maps that we could see. So even though I got this quite spectacular footage of all these railway bridges over the river, it wasn't where we wanted to go. So we got off at the next station, turned around and headed towards the shrine. It was interesting to wander just through some of the suburban streets on the way to the Nezu Shrine in the Nezu neighborhood of Tokyo, in the very hot and humid conditions. This shrine is a little bit out of the way, close to Tokyo University, and as a result, not very busy compared to some of the other major attractions in and around Tokyo. The shrine is really about 4 different main attractions all bundled into one. There's fantastic and tranquil gardens. There's a series of torii gates that look like there's a torii gate tunnel. There's a stream with a series of little shrines overlooking it, and then there's the main shrine itself. I was really glad we came here. It was quite tranquil. We really enjoyed the tranquil surrounds of Nezu Shrine and walked about a kilometre in the heat and humidity to Yanika Ginza, a famous historic shopping area in Tokyo. This area has many cafes and eateries, as well as shops in the 1950s style. It's really an area for arts and crafts and unusual knickknacks. It wasn't quite as crowded as some of the other areas of Tokyo, and it was great just to have a wander through the streets. Joe went into some of these unique stores and bought 1 or 2 items, mainly craft related and perhaps even cat related. whilst I was happy just to take a few photos of the surroundings and did a bit of people watching, and was happy to video in the shade, trying to get out of the stifling heat and humidity. So we wandered down the street and eventually made our way to Yūyake Dandan. These are very famous stairs that is a really big Instagram spot, because a very famous Japanese movie was filmed here, and it makes it very, very popular, especially amongst Japanese tourists. The top of the stairs offers a fantastic view of Yanika Ginza. Just above the stairs was a delightful little temple, the Kyōōji Temple. This is a Buddhist temple on a fairly big piece of land, surrounded by tranquil gardens and a cemetery with very old tombstones. It was actually nice just to wander around here for a little bit to get out of the hustle and bustle of the shopping area and to get into the cool of some of the trees. The next attraction we went to was the Nippori Fabric Town. This is around about a 15-minute or 1 kilometre walk from Yanika Ginza, and it covers an area of about a couple of square city blocks. My partner Joe both works in and has a particularly strong interest in the arts and crafts market. So she was particularly interested to coming to the Fabric Town just to have a look and see what there was to see. And I sort of happened to tag along and do a bit of people watching and took a few photos and some videos. As you can see from some of this footage, there was plenty of fabric for sale, as well as almost anything you'd possibly think of associated with dressmaking, arts and craft, and fabrics more broadly. It was quite interesting just to see the sheer variety of shops in different sizes and also in differing quality. It's certainly something that I wouldn't have done by myself, and it's actually good just to have a different perspective on life and culture and commerce from someone else's perspective. So it was really good walking around here. Joe did make a couple of small purchases, and we finished up at Fabric Town and made our way back to the hotel in Ginza. After a little bit of a rest, we then headed off for our evening meal. We felt like sushi, so we went to Sushi Tofuro, which was near our hotel. Well, Joe, here we are at a basement sushi restaurant. It took us a little bit of orienteering to get to. Kampai. Sapporo. Okay, my first dish has arrived, and that is some sort of tuna. It's a tuna roll.
Some sort?
Yeah, I thought it was plain tuna, but it looks like it's got things in there. Anyway, we'll give it a red hot go. Itadakimasu.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
That's good.
The rice is great. The tuna is great, and there's a fair amount of wasabi in there.
Always good.
I'm enjoying this. Oh, Joe, what has arrived?
Nice.
You've got some sort of small tuna and rice dish
Set.
set, and I have a eel.
It looks like egg.
Yeah, there's a bit of egg, some seaweed,
I don't know what this is.
and some eel with some rice.
I think it's cheese.
Cheese?
It tastes like cheese.
It's cheese doing in there.
I don't know.
No.
Interesting.
Itadakimasu.
Interesting. It's dakimasu.
That's very nice.
Is it?
It's melts in the mouth. Nice.
Melt in your mouth.
Mm. What, the cheese or the tuna?
Tuna.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of wasabi.
Thanks. Thanks for the advice.
Beware.
Yeah.
The restaurant was in the basement and it was a little bit smoky, but it had a really, really good vibe. The staff were really enthusiastic. The food was great, and from where we were sitting on the bench, had a really good view of the chef preparing some of the dishes that were being served out. The meal and drinks only cost us around about 35 Australian dollars, and I thought this was an absolute bargain. We really enjoyed our food and drinks at this sushi restaurant, and I would recommend it to anyone. We had a great first day in Tokyo. We did battle the heat and humidity. It was around about 35 degrees and about 80% humidity, and covered around about 19,000 steps. So we were quite tired at the end of our first day, but have a marvellous time seeing all those attractions, and topped it off with a really fantastic meal at the sushi restaurant, even though it was hard to find. I hope you've liked this video. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And until our next Tokyo adventure, bye.